sincere.
You know I'm teasing you. You know I'm teasing you. All right, I'll start again. Good morning, everyone. Before I start taking questions today, I'd like to make a few brief comments regarding my administration's review of the unrest following the death of Freddie Gray. My administration is continuing to assess the events, both leading up to and during the unrest. I look forward to releasing a thorough report soon. But it's important to note that we aren't waiting on the report's conclusions before making decisive steps that will ensure that Baltimore City is better prepared should we confront a similar challenge in the future. Over the past several weeks, as we have identified issues of concern, my administration has been taking several corrective actions. For example, we're working through a process that will place cameras with recording capabilities in the backs of all of our police vans to ensure that we have a more complete record of what occurs there. Another example is the review I'm announcing today into the quality and the quantity of riot gear assigned to our officers during the height of the unrest. So far, we know that some of the equipment had never been tested in an actual unrest situation, and it failed to function properly given the circumstances our officers were encountering. We also know that our officers needed more equipment in some cases, such as more shields and more body armor. To ensure that this never happens again, I've issued 2 directives to my administration. First, I am directing that we conduct a thorough and complete evaluation of all of the police department's riot equipment to ensure that our officers have what they need in the case of future unrest. We hope to never have such unrest again in our city, but if we do, we need to be sure that our officers are properly equipped for every situation. Specifically, I want to ensure that our officers are prepared should there be additional unrest following the verdicts in the Freddie Gray case. Second, I'm directing that a system of regular reviews be established to test the quality of our riot equipment, to be sure that it's up to date and that it's fully functional. We cannot allow another situation to emerge in which our officers pull out a little used piece of equipment and discover it's not up to the task. Every day, our officers face many dangers while doing the job. We owe it to them and to the safety of our city to ensure that they are properly equipped for whatever they may encounter. The steps that I've announced today, as well as the ongoing review that my administration is doing, will move us forward in the right direction. And before I conclude, I also want to take a brief moment to correct some of the misinformation, that's out there surrounding this issue. There's been much discussion about if our officers were ordered to stand down. I want to be very clear that no such order was given from me or the mayor's office. I would never tell our police officers to engage in any activity that increased the dangers that they already face every day, nor would I ever tell our police officers to allow the destruction of our city. Whether it's in the new schools that are being built for the first time in a generation or the new rec centers that are opening for the first time in a decade, the thousands of vacant homes my administration has demolished to clear the way for redevelopment, my entire career in public service has been about building Baltimore up, not tearing Baltimore down. The bottom line is that our officers served our city admirably, and we will continue to correct what went wrong. And Baltimore will move forward as a stronger city. I'm committed to moving forward. I'm committed to working to heal our city. And that work, and that commitment has to be made every day and focused on every day. So I want to thank you. And I'll open it up for some questions.
Isn't there a regular...
Why Baltimore businesses were allowed to be looted even though there were officers available to stop it both days of the rioting?
So I think it's important to understand that they weren't allowed to be looted. The officers were ordered to make were given tactical instructions to help ensure that they were safe, as well as to deal with the situation. Unless you have enough officers to fully deal with the situation, they're not going to be sent into a situation where they can't fully engage.
Mayor, you said that the equipment wasn't used, excuse me, wasn't checked before the unrest. I mean, isn't that part of the protocol before the equipment is ordered? Is there some type of consumer report for riot gear before it's ordered that you guys can check?
Well, I don't know if it was a matter of the equipment not being right when it was ordered, but it's clear, based on what we saw, that there has to be a better job in testing the equipment in the circumstances that it will be needed, and that's why I've ordered this review. We have to make sure that all of the equipment that we have is tested on a regular basis, is tested in the closest way we can simulate the circumstances in which it'll be used, so we know that it'll be ready when the officers need it.
Why 2 months?
I can't understand.
This happened in April 25th and 27th. This is July 1st.
I'm not, I don't understand your...
2 months to reach the point of now ordering an evaluation of the equipment?
Absolutely not. That was done immediately. We're talking about it today. As I mentioned in my remarks, I'm not waiting for the results of the evaluation or anything to start taking the actions. We've already started changing the way that we evaluate the equipment, and the way that we evaluate, the way that we test it, is the way that we train for these types of things. These things have been ongoing.
Are you worried at all about the fact that this riot was seemingly in response to the perception of the community of aggressive policing, and that now you're reviewing the riot equipment given to police officers who then go into these communities?
Well, I think what you're talking about are some of the challenges in making decisions minute by minute when you're talking about the unrest. The fact is, when you have an unrest that was prompted by the death of a member of the community, prompted by a response not just locally but nationally to what is being seen as police officer misconduct, police officer brutality, police officer discrimination. I was very focused on making sure that we didn't do anything during the unrest that would add to that. That would add to that sentiment. Do our officers need riot gear? Absolutely, they do. But we also, I think, showed during the unrest that the officers used it in a way that significantly limited the periods of unrest. In our history in Baltimore, we've seen riots last for weeks, and the entire city burned. The areas of throughout the city burned during the riots in the 60s, to the extent that some neighborhoods still haven't recovered. What we saw during the rest, as ugly as it was, and certainly as unfortunate as it was to see some of the actions of some of the residents, it was very localized. It was very limited in the number of hours that were out there, and I attribute that to the fact that the officers took very seriously their role in providing calm and getting us to a calmer situation during the unrest.
Mayor, what specifically didn't work as far as equipment, and what have you reordered because of that?
I can get you the answers to that question. I don't have all of the specifics.
Was
right
shields
now.
one of them? Or was shields
Yeah, definitely shields were, but I can get you the specifics.
Mayor, for weeks, the police commissioner and you have been, really from the beginning of May, have said there was no stand-down order.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there is this simmering controversy from the union and rank and file officers that they were told not to engage. I don't know about the semantics of this, but this doesn't seem to be something that has a resolution. What do you see as resolving this conflict between the perception among the officers that they were told don't engage, and the statements of you and the police commissioner, which have been going on for weeks, that we never told them not to engage?
So again, I never issued an order to stand down, nor would I. I have not heard on tape or seen any evidence to this date suggesting that an order was given by a police commander. I see that many are trying to interpret certain statements meaning stand down. I think that those assertions and those, jumping to that conclusion based on what I've seen so far doesn't make sense. again, I've had conversations with the FOP, will continue to have conversations with the FOP and with the rank and file officers to get some clarity. But at the end of the day, I know what I know is that I never gave that order. My office never gave that order, and I've yet to hear evidence that that order was given.
In
Last
saying
question.
that, you're in essence suggesting that the officers who have suggested that there was a stand down order given, be it those exact words or a roundabout way, that they're lying.
No, I wouldn't say that they're lying at all. And it's unfortunate that you would characterize my statements that way. Not saying that at all. I said that I've been talking to them, trying to get some clarity around what they heard, what they interpreted. I'm not saying that they're lying at all. What I am saying is that I'm determined to get to the bottom of it, and I want clarity, not just to be clear about what happened in the unrest, but also to make sure that if we're ever in this situation again, and hopefully we'll never be in this situation, but that we are there's no question about the orders that are given and what is expected from the officers after those orders are given.
Can we ask a red line question? I know there's an event later.
Sure, Jane, the red line's good. Sure. Go ahead, last
Back in
question.
September, in this very setting, we asked, what's Plan B for the red line?
Mm-hmm.
After the election, after the nomination of Larry Hogan and other circumstances that certainly created questions. Absent a Plan B, what is it that you want to achieve now in terms of the a transit plan in light of what this administration in Annapolis has said about this particular project?
So again, I'm very disappointed, not just by the decision, but how the decision was characterized by the Hogan administration. There were countless hours of community engagement around what our transportation needs were and how we were going to work together, the federal government, the state government, and local governments, in order to meet those transportation needs. We know that in our community there are too many individuals who rely on public transportation who have commutes of more than 45 minutes. And research shows that when you have commute times of more than 45 minutes, it is very difficult to maintain employment. So we know the need is there. And a lot of work was done in order to help address the needs of the public when it comes to public transportation. To suggest that this was some type of, irresponsible, haphazard boondoggle, I think is extremely disrespectful to the residents, who were very thoughtful about the work that they did in putting, in adding comments to make sure that those comments, the input was reflected in the plan. And I think that as you see the evolution of the red line, a lot of the public comments were taken into account. So again, I think it was extremely, not just disheartening, but disrespectful.
So what is it that you want to achieve?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay.
See, I indulge you
we're on
with...
a question limit here, okay?
You are.
Yes.
And we've extended it for you. So just give me a second to try to answer it, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So, number one, I think it was wrong. The decision was wrong. And number two, I met with our state delegation partners, and we're very focused on looking for ways to salvage that east-west connection that is desperately needed in our city. They're taking a look at, we're taking a look at the legislation, we're taking a look at, what authorities are there, and we are asking for a meeting with the Hogan administration to discuss the future of that east-west corridor, how we are going to serve the needs of the red line. Additionally, I'm working with my administration. We're taking a look at ways that we can work in partnership, and it has to be in partnership with the state, on other ways that we can make our public transportation infrastructure more efficient and more effective for the people it's supposed to serve. under the previous administration, under the O'Malley administration, there was work that had started to evaluate all of the MTA lines. They haven't been realigned in any substantial way for years, and we know that the transportation needs of our city has changed, and the MTA has not kept up with the changing demographics, changing locations of job hubs. That hasn't happened. One of the things that we will be asking for, that we're discussing, is, can that work continue? That evaluation of the bus routes continue, so we can make it more user-friendly. We see what happens when you put in place a public transportation system that's very focused on getting people to and from where they need to go. And that's what our goal was in the circulator. We're very intentional about identifying where people were and where people needed to be and creating those routes. And it's the ridership has exceeded anyone's expectations, or the estimates of where we thought we would be with the circulator. So we know that when you create a public transportation system that is focused on the current needs of riders, it's possible to do a better job and to get it right. And I think that it'll be important for that work to continue with the administration. Also, to take a look at the community development needs. A lot of when the governor made that announcement that he was basically putting the red line on the shelf, it not only had a jobs impact with the construction jobs, with the ongoing jobs that would be available as a result of the red line, but it also had economic development impact all along the red line. If you took a look at the maps that we have distributed, there were economic development opportunities, many of those in neighborhoods that needed it, that needed that infusion of economic development the most. If he's going to shelf the project, is he also going to shelf the investment in those communities? I mean, that's a conversation that we need to have as well. So what I anticipate doing is having these conversations, number one, with, is there a way to, with the decision that he made and the way that he made it, is there still an opportunity to address the needs, the public transportation needs along that east-west corridor? That's the first goal. And the second goal is to take a look at the investments that we do have here and the services that we do have here that are provided by the state, and find a way for them to work better for the people that they serve.
So it sounds like you're still coming up with a plan B.
Definitely. Thank you.
So that was the question, is that, so just to be clear, you have no thought that the currently designed, his term, red line, which he tabled last week, that's your goal is not to revive that?
I will say that after speaking with the delegation, there are still a lot of questions about the extent of his authority to totally table the red line as it currently stands. There's work being done by the delegation right now, to address those specific concerns about, what the legislation says is totally within the authority of the governor, or what needs to be signed off on by the legislature. All of that is being looked at.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you.